In the meantime, Jim, we are getting some news that Steve Bannon has been arrested and indicted by the Manhattan U.S. Attorney, federal prosecutors in Manhattan. For more on that, we'll get to our Eamon Javers. Hey, Eamon.
Yeah, Carl, this news just coming out from the Southern District of New York saying that Steve Bannon and 3 other men have been arrested and indicted charged in relation to their role in a nonprofit organization called We Build the Wall. It's a crowdfunding organization that the SDNY says has raised about $25 million for wall-related funding. What the indictment here is alleging is that Bannon and these others were skimming some of the proceeds from that fundraising for themselves, even though they had suggested publicly that this was a volunteer organization and they were not taking salaries. The indictment document here says that Bannon publicly stated, "We are a volunteer organization." Those representations, the government says, were false. They also say that Steve Bannon, through a nonprofit organization under his control, Nonprofit One, as it's referred to here in the document, received over $1 million from We Build the Wall, at least some of which, they say, Bannon used to cover hundreds of thousands of dollars in his own personal expenses. So, Carl, dramatic development here for a former high-ranking White House counselor. We'll see if the White House has any statement on this.
Our colleague, NBC Justice correspondent Pete Williams, is joining us. Pete, you got new reporting here?
Well, according to the court documents, this We Build a Wall thing came and flamed out very quickly. It was founded in December of 2018 and was an immediate, astonishing success, a crowdfunding effort to raise money to help build a wall on the southern border. And within the first week, according to the government, it had raised $17 million. But it didn't stay in business very long because shortly after that, crowdsource website shut it down over concerns about how the money was going to be used. And according to the court documents, the founder of it, this man, Brian Kolfage, said that he would not take any of the money, that it was an entirely volunteer effort, but it said he did take a lot of money. And as for Steve Bannon, it says he formed a nonprofit organization that he controlled. It received about $1 million from this crowdfunding effort, some of which the Justice Department says he used to cover, and I'm quoting here now, hundreds of thousands of dollars in Bannon's personal expenses. So it's a garden variety fraud case. We have not heard from Steve Bannon. We have not heard from his lawyers. He will be presented today in New York, in Manhattan, to face these charges. These days, a lot of these court appearances tend to be by teleconference, so I don't know that he'll actually be in the courthouse or whether they will do this remotely. We're waiting to hear about the details for that. But the court documents basically say that this thing was pretty suspect almost from the beginning.
Let's talk about this for a second. Steve Bannon, I remember, I don't know if you remember, but I do remember this GoFundMe campaign. They raised an obscene amount of money very quickly. And before I even get to the specifics, I think this has to set a record for people affiliated with an administration being indicted. And Donald Trump, I mean, just think about all the people who have been indicted underneath Donald Trump, like top cabinet members. Steve Bannon was a part of the cabinet. Michael Flynn, a part of the cabinet. And granted, Roger Stone wasn't a part of the cabinet, but he was closely and very directly tied to the president of the United States. And granted, Donald Trump has been granting pardons and inserting himself into the process. It doesn't negate the fact that these people have been indicted. Now, to bring your attention back to the GoFundMe, I want to put this on the screen so that you can see it. This was the original GoFundMe. They raised $20 million before it was taken down by GoFundMe. And you can see Brian Kolfage is the one of the key people on that GoFundMe. And it just shows you how easily taken advantage these people are because of their hate, right? Because of their hatred for immigrants, for Mexicans. They were willing to pour all of this money into a campaign that actually defrauded. This is really emblematic of the entirety of the Republican Party, of the conservative agenda, right? They thrive. They profit off of their bigotry and off of their hatred and off the ignorance, quite frankly, the ignorance of their supporters. I want to bring up an image of this is the man. He's a veteran, a former veteran. He was wounded, apparently, in battle, but that didn't stop him from capitalizing. And I'm sorry, I'm not laughing at the fact that he was wounded in battle. I'm laughing at the fact that that all of that bravery and notoriety that we give people associated with the military, it did not stop him from engaging in his grift. That's what's hilarious, is that all the patriotism that Republicans talk about, it does not stop them from engaging in using America to fleece America, using the idea of patriotism to enrich themselves. So it's a lot going on with this story, and we'll keep you updated in terms of all of the different moving components. But these are serious charges, and this is the type of tactics and behavior that we have seen from the Trump administration since day one. I want to bring the actual indictment up on your screen. The United States District Court, Southern District of New York, the United States of America versus Brian Kolfage, Stephen Bannon, Andrew Badalato, and Timothy Shea. This is what's happening right now. So we'll keep our eyes on it, but I really want to see what Donald Trump is going to say, how much he's going to distance himself from this, how much he's going to disassociate himself every time someone gets in trouble in his administration. The first thing he does is deny that he even knew them, right? The second thing he does is try to get involved in the justice process, obstructing justice on behalf of his friends. And then the final thing that he does is, if they get found guilty or they plead guilty, he will offer them a pardon. So I expect the same routine. In fact, I expect to see some tweets from Donald Trump any moment now. But this is breaking news, and I just wanted to make sure that this was on your radar. We'll cover it much more in depth on today's episode of The Benjamin Dixon Show. You can download the podcast at iTunes.com, or you can watch the live stream here, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter. And you can also go to patreon.com/the BPD show to get the full access to the full show. All right. Take care, everybody.